And in 1984, when I became managing editor of the Washington Post under Ben Bradley, I even stopped voting because I wanted to be completely nonpartisan in all the decisions that I made about our coverage, because Ben, when he made me managing editor, gave me the authority to decide what went on the front page, so the final authority for what in the paper each day, which I then kept on through the next 24 years as managing editor and executive editor. And as the final gatekeeper, I did not want to decide in my own mind, privately, who ought to be President of the United States or who ought to be Mayor of Washington, which a lot of people think is silly, but was important to me. And I stopped reading our editorials. That same guy who, when he was a kid in college, had actually written an editorial about a news story that he covered. I stopped reading editorials because I did not want to know what arguments the editorial page was making about things that we were covering in order to keep those two things entirely separate. I did retire as executive editor in September. I finished writing this novel, which was a lot of fun, which I wrote in my spare time over the last 5 or 6 years. It turned out that learning how to write fiction was a wonderful antidote to running a newspaper under a time of such high pressure. I am going to become a member of the faculty of Arizona State University beginning this autumn. From January through May, we'll live out in Phoenix, and I'll actually teach a full course at the Cronkite School. We'll do that each year. And I'm going to be doing a project for Columbia University this year which will call for a report that I have to write by the end of the year, looking at all the suggestions and experiments that are going on for how can we pay for news in the future, given the fact that the economic models for newspapers and pretty much broadcast news as well are breaking down. I followed Ben Bradley's dictum, which is you hire the most talented people you can and make it possible for them to do their best work. And the people are just wonderful to be with. I was a manager by walking around kind of editor, and I just talked to probably hundreds of people a day in our newsroom, and got deeply involved in the journalism. I miss the journalism too. I don't miss it I thought I'd miss it terribly, but I don't miss it as much as I did, perhaps because I'm still writing. Now I got to do reporting for this report and write 25,000 words by October 1st. I even have a deadline again, these journalists are just so talented. It's so much fun to work with them on really challenging stories. I miss that. And I love reading the paper now because I can read it as a reader, which I couldn't do before. And before, as I was reading, I'm always looking for what could we have done better, what's not right here, what's not good enough, and now I can just enjoy it for what it is, and it's still a great paper. And when I urge young people to get in this business, which I do, because despite everything we've been saying so far, there's going to be news out there, and there's more different kinds of opportunities now because of the technology than ever before. It's just not necessarily going to be 44 years at one news organization like I enjoyed. But I do warn them that you must be very committed to this business. It has been a calling for me, and it must be a calling for you if you really want to do it.